EFT, has anyone heard of EFT or tapping before? No, okay. EFT is an acronym for the Emotional Freedom Technique, okay? So it's all about helping you basically untrigger and process your emotions. EFT works in a variety of different ways. I mean, seriously, you can use it in so many different ways. You can use it for past traumas and events, okay? If you have some bad memories or you have some negative emotion attached to something, say speaking in front of others, okay? Phobias, it's been proven to help with phobias. I use it because I do not like to, I use it for a lot of different things, but I use it in particular for flying because I don't like to fly. But tapping gets me through it just fine. So you can use it for past things. You can use it in your everyday life, which I very much encourage you to do, okay? So, you know, stuff comes up, right? Life is hard, it's brutal. And so, you know, you have this technique, this tool that can help you calm and recenter and process things out and also see things more clearly, okay? So you can tap on stuff from 20 years ago, or you can tap on what happened at the grocery store today, okay? You can tap on phobias. You can tap on beliefs that you have that you know that don't serve you, you know, maybe not feeling good enough or whatever the belief might be. You can tap on that belief as well and transform it. So yeah, lots of different things that you can do with tapping. Tapping lowers your cortisol levels, okay, which is your stress hormone. I mean, it's scientific, it does. As you tap, it lowers the cortisol levels in your brain, and and it raises your endorphins, okay? So tapping at all is going to make you feel better, okay, because of the science behind it. Now, when you are tapping on a negative emotional event from your past, okay, again, going back to the trauma or the memory or something like that, it's going to bring some stuff up before things get better, okay? So know that. If you're tapping on something from the grocery store today, it's going to take you hopefully from an 8 down to a 1, right? And that's what you want, or an 8 to a 0. But if it's a past memory, or if it's something that has a lot of emotional negativity attached to it, right? And it's something that you carried with you through your whole life. That takes a little bit more work. It takes more time. You can absolutely heal that memory. And actually what tapping does is when you tap consistently on something like that, a fear, a phobia, a traumatic event, it actually refiles the emotional memory in your brain without the negative emotional response attached to it. So tapping detaches the negative emotional response and it refiles that memory in your brain, okay? And that is possible, but that does take consistent tapping on this one specific thing, and it's gonna bring some stuff up, all right? So you're gonna bring stuff up before you start to tap it down. That's tapping for that purpose though, right? So again, you know how like you've ever had a fight with someone, and you know, maybe your husband, your partner, whatever, and then a few hours later or the next day, you're like, you know, like you're able all of a sudden, because you're untriggered, to see all the way around the issue. You know, you're able to see their point of view a little bit, where they were coming from. Well, this is what tapping gives you, but a whole lot quicker, okay? So when you get triggered emotionally, and this is any negative emotional state, so fear, worry, anxiety, anger, jealousy, any of it, okay? And you tap on it, because you're literally, as you're tapping, you are removing and reducing that negative emotion. You're tapping it down. You get clarity around something just so much quicker, and you're able to move on from a more authentic place, right? You're able to move forward into your life. So it's such a beautiful and helpful emotional technique. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. I'm going to give you just a little bit about the science. I know science is like super boring. Some people love it, some people hate it. But anyway, I always like to give a little bit of background on it. So the amygdala is a part of your limbic system in your brain, okay? It's a tiny almond-shaped thing. And it's in the center of your limbic system in your brain, all right? And the amygdala is responsible for emotional response. It's responsible for memory. It has to do with memory and emotional response, okay? So this is where when you feel something, it's coming from the amygdala. It's also your body's alarm system. So that freeze, fight, or flight response that happens to us, that comes from your amygdala. It's the ADT in your brain, okay? And what tapping does, it's been proven, Harvard Medical School did studies and research. There's been lots of others, but I always use Harvard because, you know, I'm not Harvard. Anyway, they did studies and research, and it has shown, tapping has shown that the stimulation of selected meridian points, we tap on meridian points, I'll get to what meridian points are. When you tap on them, it decreases activity in the amygdala, effectively turning off the amygdala's alarm, okay? So you get triggered emotionally, either from something from your past or something that's happening right now, and the amygdala goes off. It sets that alarm off. That's when your stress hormones rise. That's when you go into, you know, fight or flight. You have that fear response. And tapping has been proved. They have studied people's brains while they were tapping to turn off that alarm, okay, to deactivate that negative emotional system. So we tap on things called meridians, all right? And meridians are a little bit hard to explain. Has anyone ever experienced or done acupuncture before? Okay. Well, acupuncture is also based on the meridian system, okay? And it's this idea, it comes from ancient Chinese medicine, that we have a system in our body that is made up of energy. And this meridian system carries energy to all the vital organs, to every part of the body, just like the nervous system and your circulatory system. Okay, you have an energy system that supplies life energy throughout your entire body. Okay, and so when we tap on meridian points, we are going to be tapping on the meridian points that have to do with the mind and emotions. Okay, but there is a meridian system throughout your entire body. And acupuncture, what acupuncture does, it works on these points, these meridian points, also called acupoints, regulate corresponding organs and bring the body back into a state of balance and health. Okay, so they're using the same meridian system. They're just trying to bring your body, your physical body, back into balance and health, whereas we are working on the emotional and psychological. EFT is sometimes called psychological acupuncture because we're tapping on the part of the meridian system which corresponds with our mental and emotional health. So that's how it works. What else do we want to say? Yes, so if you just close your eyes and start to tap, even if you don't do the full sequence, okay, I'm going to show you the whole sequence and we're going to work on it together. But even if you just tap right here on your collarbone and you breathe and you tap and you don't say anything or think anything, even if this is all you do, you're going to calm down. Because this right here is lowering your cortisol levels, it's lowering that stress hormone, and it's raising your endorphins. Okay. So, you know, I do this driving down the road. You'll see me in the grocery store. Don't ever fly with me if you get embarrassed easy because I am doing the whole thing. Like, I have been hardwired for anxiety my entire life, and I've had to find holistic tools to help me manage and cope. And they have far exceeded any expectation I've ever had. And EFT is one of my favorites. I have been through some really dark periods, and EFT has literally helped me out of that hole. Well, where before I thought I'm going to have to go get on some medication. I'm going to have to go do something to just help me out of this stuck, fear-based, depressive, anxious place. And I would start tapping and tap every day. And I mean, within a week, it's just amazing how quickly things can turn around. So it really, really can help. Yes. Okay. And then just again, you know, I mentioned this and the 10 breaths and how you're immediately going to calm, right? But again, if you want to use EFT for something from your past, for a phobia, for a fear, a trauma, or whatever, you can. And again, tapping over time, it's going to take longer. It is going to take longer and consistency, right? But tapping over time will detach that negative emotion from that memory, from the fear of public speaking, right? If you tap on it long enough and consistently and zero in on it, you will tap down that negative emotional state, and your brain will refile it as something that does not bother you. It will. Okay, let's see. So I'm trying to think where we want to go next. First of all, I'd love to do just a quick experiment, okay? Let's do this. You don't have to close your eyes if you don't feel comfortable. You can leave your eyes open. But let's all, first, before we start, rate on a scale from 1 to 10 where you're at emotionally. 10 being, you know, distraught. And now you can close your eyes, you can leave your eyes open, whatever you want to do, but just gently tap on your collarbone and take 10 deep breaths. And when you're done, just open your eyes and come back into the Zoom meeting here. Now, what is your number? How many of you experienced a shift downward in emotional? Yeah. Here's the thing I want you to know about EFT, okay? You don't have to make it complicated. You don't have to do it just right. You cannot break this. You cannot break yourself. You cannot do this wrong, okay? So if you get relief from that, do that. You know, if something happens and you're flustered and you can't remember the whole sequence, just remember something and tap. The other thing is, because the meridian system is perfectly synchronized and equally balanced throughout your body, you can tap on just one side, on an acupoint on one side of your body, and it will automatically correspond with the other. I do find that I get a quicker, faster effect if I do both. But if you can just do one, do one. Also, okay, I feel like I need to stop. I'm going to overwhelm you all with information. Okay. All right. So I sent some handouts in an email, but it's totally fine. Don't worry about that if you don't have the handout or the email yet. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you the tapping points. Can everyone see that? Will someone give me a thumbs up? Okay, awesome. Thank you. So just look at it for a few seconds. Okay. All right, so I'm going to have you watch me do it the first time, okay, and then we're going to do it some together. So when we're going through a full tapping sequence, we always start with the karate chop point on our hand, okay? And when we start with the karate chop point, we say what's called a setup statement 3 times. I'll get to that in a minute. I'm not going to do it any words this first round or two. I just want you all to see me tap. So I'm going to tap on the karate chop point, and I'm going to repeat the setup statement 3 times. Then after I've done that, I'm going to move on to the top of the eyebrow. So it's the top of the eyebrow, and it's also where the eyebrow meets the nose. Okay? And then it's the side of the eye, and then underneath the eye. Under the nose, on the chin, collarbone area, and this one is, I'd like to move back and forth here. You will find a tender spot in this collarbone area, and that is where your meridian point is at. But for some reason, I just intuitively, this feels better to me to tap along. Some people it's closer to the collarbone, some people it's way out here, it's whatever, okay? Now this last one's gonna look really funky. I don't have to do it a funky way, but I just like to be funky, okay? So you can do this. And again, this one sometimes takes some searching. I know exactly where mine is at this point. It's right above my bra strap, but underneath my armpit. But again, like the collarbone, just kind of feel where it feels tender. And you'll tap. But I like to do this one like this, and I call it the funky chicken. I know, it looks ridiculous. You don't have to do it this way, but that's okay. It's just super efficient, and it gets both sides at the same time, and you get that whole area, so it works. All right, so I'm gonna do it one more time. So hand, eyebrow, yeah, feel free to do it with me. Side of the eye, under the eye, bottom of the nose, in between the nose and the lips, chin, collarbone, funky chicken, however you want to do that. No judgment. Total acceptance. Oh, I love that you are going to have this image of me seared in your brain. I'm so sorry. Okay. So now let's talk about words. Yes, words are important. So we start with the setup statement, okay? I'm just going to use my own experience in this moment. So the setup statement says, and you're going to get the handout, and it says you'll have like step by step all of this information. But it always starts with, even though blank, whatever you're feeling, even though I'm angry, I'm hurt, I'm sad, I'm jealous, whatever, even though blank, I completely love and accept myself. Okay. So in this scenario, I'm gonna say, even though I'm nervous about this virtual EFT workshop, I love and accept myself. Now, if you cannot say, in all honesty, most honesty, that you completely love and accept yourself, that's okay. But don't say it if it's not true, all right? So instead, say something like, even though I'm feeling anxious, I accept that I feel this way. It's an acceptance statement. So you need to attach acceptance to the feeling that you're feeling. I find that saying I completely love and accept myself is very powerful, but it's okay. If you're just, some people aren't there yet. There's no, yeah, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. So you just say, even though blank, I accept that this is the way I feel. I accept that this is the way it is. I accept this, whatever. And so you say the setup statement 3 times while tapping on your karate chop point. Even though I'm anxious, I completely love and accept myself. It does help to be specific. So even though I'm anxious about this workshop, I completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm anxious about this workshop, I completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm anxious about this workshop, I completely love and accept myself. And then when you move on to the rest of the sequence, you're going to do a shortened version. You're really, though, going to say, and I cannot stress this enough, you're going to say whatever comes up to say. Tapping is like peeling an onion, right? How many of you have heard that like anger is just the tip of the iceberg, but really down here there's like fear or sadness or grief or something else? Well, what tapping does is you'll start tapping on your anger, and pretty quickly you'll feel a shift. And you'll be like, oh, I'm sad. Or I'm afraid, right? Just keep tapping, okay? And what's going to happen is as you tap, it's going to turn positive. You're going to feel clear. You're going to feel cleared out. And more positive words and affirmations are going to start coming to you. So I'm going to give you an example, okay? I'm going to do this anxious thing. Even though I'm anxious over this workshop, I completely love and accept myself. I'm not going to say it 2 more times because I've already said it like 5, I think now. So I'm anxious. I'm afraid. What if I fail? What if I mess up? What if I screw this up somehow? What am I doing? Do I even know what I'm doing? Even though I'm anxious, I completely love and accept myself. I forgot to tell you all a tapping point. See, tapping just gave me the clarity. We didn't end with the head. This is the last one. I'm so sorry. See, I've already messed up. Yeah, so the last point in the tapping sequence is the top of the head. So I'm going to keep tapping. Even though I'm anxious, I completely love and accept myself. Even though I have this fear, I completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm nervous, I completely love and accept myself. I'm scared. I'm a little bit scared. What if they don't like me? What if this goes really wrong? I don't have anything to be afraid of. It's really going to be okay. There's totally nothing to fear. God's got this. I've got this. All is well. I am calm. Even though I'm anxious, I completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm anxious, I completely love and accept myself. I no longer feel anxious. I no longer feel anxious. So that was pretty quick, okay? There was definitely some truth to that, but I wasn't at like a 7 or an 8 over like fear about doing this for you all. So and I'm going to be really honest with you. You're not, there's really no telling how short or long something's going to take to tap down, because it really depends on what's underneath it. If it's a kind of a superficial thing that, you know, it's really not that big of a deal, right? If the iceberg isn't super deep in the water, then you're going to be able to tap it down really quick. And there was a moment when I said nervous, I think I was here, where I felt my body go, like I felt it in my body. And I knew from that moment on, I was shifting toward the positive, that I was close, that I was like at a 2. Okay, that was like at a 2 or 3, and I was close to a 1 or a 0. All right, you'll just feel it. And you'll know it also by the things you want to say in your mind. And of course, I do these out loud because I'm demonstrating, but you can always just do it internally. Okay, so let's practice some together. Be on mute, say it out loud, or keep it to yourself. But let's run through the entire sequence together. Let's start on our karate chop point. Even though blank, I completely love and accept myself. Even though blank, I completely love and accept myself. Even though blank, I completely love and accept myself. And you go as slow or as fast as you want, all right? And just see what you want to say. Maybe you're thinking, do I really love and accept myself? Is that a thing for me? Feel free to take your time. And again, if you skip one, if you miss one, it's not a big deal. It's not. A lot of times I'll leave out the funky chicken altogether just because I don't feel like being funky. Yeah, and if you find one spot that feels good to you, stay there. I move around just because, again, that's what feels good to me. But it's a very individualized practice. Okay, let's do it one more time. I know I'm being really repetitious, but do it one more time all the way through. Okay, so we're going to start at the karate chop point. Move to the top of the eye. Side of the eye. Underneath the eye. Under the nose. Yep, move at your own pace. Chin. Collarbone. This one feels so good to me. I don't know why, but I get a lot of relief from it. Yeah, I always stay here a little long. All right, funky chicken. And then top of the head. And that's it. You're going to say what comes up. You're going to peel the onion, okay? And while you're doing it, be aware of what number you're at emotionally, okay? Where are you at? It's really an in-the-body type exercise. If you ever get started tapping on something that brings up a strong emotional trigger, maybe you didn't know. I was in a group of people once and we were tapping on I am worthy. And I had a woman just like lose it. I mean, apparently she had a lot of stuff around that phrase, that belief, okay? So if you ever start to tap on something and all of a sudden you kind of get swamped with emotion and you just weren't prepared for that, just stop. It's okay. You don't have to keep going. You can write it down and make a note to come back and tap on it when you have some time. I do hold one-on-one sessions with people, especially for the heavier stuff. You can feel safe to have somebody else with you. I really don't do very much, but just hold space and kind of help you through it, hand you tissues, that kind of thing. But if you don't want to use tapping for that heavy stuff, you don't have to. You don't. Again, take some 10 deep breaths and do this, or just do this. There are also the size of your fingers are a good one. Especially if you're like just in a hurry or you know, like you're sitting on the couch with your in-laws and you just, you feel all just icky and you're like, just start tapping on the corner of your fingers, right? And you can start to feel, yes, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I just realized that when you were talking about the tapping on the fingers thing, whenever I'm sitting down, I will actually like squeeze my fingers whenever I'm like in a meeting or something. It kind of feels like the same way. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's something I was kind of already doing.
Right. You're releasing the pressure in that in that meridian point. Yeah. Yeah. And tapping on them, it's really all we're doing with tapping is applying pressure. So if you want to squeeze them, that's fine. Again, you can't do it wrong. Yeah, totally fine. Yeah, you can find some relief from just doing this. Listen, y'all, I mean, this is quarantine. Nobody knows what, I mean, just walk around your house, tapping on your face. I'm serious. Like, you know, my sister, who I do not consider this woohoo because, again, there is science research behind it, but she is very much a self-prescribed realist. Nothing wrong with that, right? But she's sort of against anything that's like not mainstream. But she was in a foreign country and she was pregnant and she was in, you know, like on a bus, public transportation, and she called me and she was like, I'm having a full-blown panic attack right now. Like, give me the tapping. Tell me, what do I do? Tell me the tapping. And I told her to tap on her sternum and take 10 deep breaths. And after she did that, she was like, "You're right. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm normal again. Everything's fine." It works. It really does. So, do we have any questions, input, anything we want to say, talk about? We've got plenty of time. You all have been like the best students anyone could ask for. Yeah.
This is great. We need to do a kid version of this.
Yeah, I do this on my daughter, actually. I do it on my daughter. I've taught her about it. She, especially at night, has some nighttime anxiety as she's going to sleep. She's very much afraid of the dark. And so I'll have her tap. In fact, I was telling her, you know, that I was going to do a workshop tonight. And she said, well, I want you to do it on me. Tell me the workshop. And I was like, you already know how to tap. You know, you got this. And that's the thing. And that's what's so wonderful about EFT is that you don't have to do the full sequence. Okay, you really don't. You can just do the fingers and you can just tap here and breathe just to calm, you know. So again, there's kind of two sides of this. One is like more of the really heavy, if you really want to go there, that's where I tend to be kind of like the warrior, right? Like I don't have any physical strength. I'm not like a super like productive, super active person, but emotionally I can and will go there, okay, with myself and with and for other people. But not everyone's like that, and that's okay, you know. So you can use it to help with these. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of EMDR therapy. EFT is very much in that vein of EMDR. Yeah. And the thing is, you can do it, you can use it on yourself, by yourself, right? So it's free. You don't have to go to the therapist. And again, I am a huge proponent of therapy, like, and having someone there with you if you need it. So please hear that. But yeah, if you're in a place where you can't afford it or it's inconvenient or whatever, you know, you can use EFT. I like to tap every night before I go to bed. And that's another thing. You don't have to have an intention. Again, you can tap without words. But it's just like whatever emotional, residual, whatever crap is there in my system, as I'm falling asleep, I'll tap. And it calms my body, but it also just works everything out so that I can start the next day anew.